Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First this evening, a killer has finally been named in the long-running cold case of Devonport woman Darlene Geertsemer. The coroner finding her former partner John Shepherd caused the death of the mother of 6 in 1978. But Mr Shepherd remains a free man with no charges laid yet.
A hauntingly scuffed and faded image of Darlene Geertsemer is the only trace of her which remains. Her body's never been found, but her killer has, according to the coroner. Something relatives say they knew all along.
Always knew what happened. No proof, but we were pretty happy with the outcome, I think.
The coroner finding her former partner John Shepherd inflicted injuries which killed the mother of 6 when she disappeared in October 1978. Whether she died at her home in Devonport or somewhere else hasn't been determined.
It's good that something's been done, put it that way. It's been a long time coming.
The coroner found Mr Shepherd was drinking on the night of the victim's death and had a history of violence and possessiveness towards her. He worked as a bushman, giving him access to land, enabling the body to be easily disposed. He also had access to Miss Geertsemer's Holden Sunbird, which was found abandoned near Devonport Oval in the days following her disappearance. While not criticising the police investigation at the time, the coroner acknowledged attitudes and protocols towards family violence crimes are vastly different today than they were in 1978. Still, the coroner made no recommendations nor have any charges been laid. At least some answers for her 6 children who grew up without a mother and nearly half a century of mystery. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Support for Jeremy Rockliff is less than his predecessor Peter Gutwein, according to the latest EMRS poll. 47% of Tasmanians said the new Premier was their preferred leader. That's 5% less than Peter Gutwein reached in the last poll in March. Opposition leader Rebecca White's support rose 1% to 34%. 39% of respondents preferred the Liberal Party, a drop of 2%, while support for Labor also dropped by 1% to 30%. The Greens picked up 2% to sit at 18%, while 19% said they would preference others. We're in the middle of a jobs boom, according to online employment company Seek. The website says the number of job ads in the state grew by 2.9% last month, the second highest of all states and territories. Nationwide, hospitality, healthcare and trades saw the highest increases. In proof our tourism industry is bouncing back, Tasmanian hotel occupancy rates remained high during April. Hotel rooms were filled at a rate of nearly 87% that month, 5% better than any previous April figure. It follows a record-breaking March. The Hospitality Association says it's pleasing to see operators reaping the benefits after suffering during COVID. A Queensland senator has weighed in on Tasmania's AFL bid, claiming the state has been unfairly treated by the league. It comes a day after AFL boss Gillon McLachlan confirmed a new stadium is what's needed to make a 19th team a reality here.
When it comes to securing support for an AFL team, Tassie is kicking goals.
Do you think Tassie deserves one?
For sure, yeah. We're from Geelong, so we know what it's like to have a small town that's got a footy team.
I think they deserve this opportunity for a bit of competition, pride.
Yeah, there's no reason not to.
But for some Tasmanians, their loyalty lies elsewhere.
Probably won't get a team, but we do deserve a team. But who's going to support it though? Everyone goes for a team.
I'm a Collingwood member of 22 years and Tassie will still be my second team.
Touching down in Hobart to hold talks with Premier Jeremy Rockliff yesterday, AFL CEO Gillon McLachlan made it clear a new stadium must be built to convince the league a 19th team is viable. But a Queensland senator claims his state didn't need to jump through as many hoops to get their deal over the line.
It just seems that the AFL are driving a really hard bargain in Tasmania compared to how they've treated Queensland with the Suns, and indeed, to my recollection, how they treated the Greater Western Sydney when they were being established.
While Labor and the Greens have thrown their support behind a Tassie team, they say it shouldn't come at a cost of $750 million for a new stadium. But the Minister for Sport says upgrading Blunston Arena isn't an option.
There have been problems identified with Blunston Arena in terms of where it's situated, the fact that it's surrounded by residents, parking, access to that stadium isn't what it needs to be going forward.
One thing he is sure of.
We expect to get a yes in August. We deserve our own teams. We expect that the answer will be yes.
Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
Residents of a West Ulverston house were given a scare last night when a tree fell and partly crushed their property. Police say damaging winds and oversaturation of the ground was the likely cause of the tree fall. One person was reported to have non-life-threatening injuries. Crews spent the morning removing the tree from the house. Motorists were lucky to avoid injury when a bus collided with 2 vehicles outside Zambrero in Moona this afternoon. Police and emergency services were called just before 3 o'clock. Traffic diverted along Main Road. A temporary post office will pop up in Launceston next week. Customers will be able to collect parcels and PO Box mail from a site on Cemetery Street from 7 a.m. next Wednesday. The Launceston post office suffered extensive flood damage during wild storms on Sunday morning. An unexpected pairing has seen a local artist and scientist combine their expertise to create an interactive playground, putting a colourful spin on dark motho. The Rainbow Dream exhibit features human-sized hamster wheels to encourage exercise and improve mood.
Scientists hold knowledge and we publish it in papers that are behind paywalls and often in languages that people are not trained to understand. Science and art together gives that knowledge to the people.
Participants are free to use the space however they please.
Dance in the space of the Rainbow Circle stage. You could interact with the Rainbow Meditation projections.
Hiromi Tango says the goal of the exhibition is to simply see people smiling and building new relations with strangers. New social sport competitions are set to fill the void left by the closure of YMCA Launceston. Last month, the organisation called it quits after 142 years, but the City of Launceston is working with other providers to utilise the facility. The council said competitions would continue with the help of Netball Tasmania, and the Launceston Basketball Association says it has had a significant number of inquiries from other community groups. A Northern Tasmanian council could soon put the wheels in motion to become a city. West Tamar councillor Peter Carney will move a motion at next week's meeting asking the local government board to hold an elector poll at the upcoming elections. To meet city criteria, the area has to have more than 20,000 residents for 5 years, with 60% of the population living in an urban area. A Drinkwise initiative is helping wine drinkers keep track of how many glasses they've consumed. The Stay Tasteful While Tasting campaign is promoting responsible drinking with the use of scratchy cards.
Cellar door tastings are a tradition in Tasmania's wine country, but too often patrons go one sip too far.
They're only getting small quantities to taste, but sometimes they can lose track of how much they are consuming.
Unveiling a new Stay Tasteful While Tasting campaign, Drinkwise has developed scratchy cards, helping wine lovers keep track of how much wine they've enjoyed.
It's all about educating consumers around how many pours they might have at a cellar door and how that equates to standard drinks.
It gives consumers that are coming to the cellar doors that safety to know that they have real information that can guide them in making great choices.
With local cellars already hopping aboard the initiative, which has been backed by national wine bodies.
We'll be rolling out Stay Tasteful While Tasting across all 11 of our cellar doors in Australia.
With more visitors pouring into Tasmania, the campaign comes as the hospitality industry gets a swirl, sniff and sip of normality.
The latest visitor numbers that we've seen to Tasmania indicate that a quarter of all visitors will call into a cellar door during their stay.
Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian man has completed a major physical feat on foot, conquering 158 mountains in 158 days. Lewis Taylor took the final steps today up Kununyi Mount Wellington, raising money for cancer research. His own mother's battle the driving force.
Trailing through snow, battling elevation greater than 1,100 metres, this isn't for the faint-hearted.
Oh, that's full hail!
Lewis Taylor embarked on a challenge of a lifetime 5 months ago for a cause close to his heart.
Those moments, you just got to dig deep. For me, the inspiration and the motivation comes from cancer sufferers, really. They get me out of bed every morning because they don't have a choice when to fight, when to stand up.
Emotions ran high as he set off on the final leg of a journey to climb 158 Able Mountains.
Thank you so much for coming. It means a lot to me. I just can't think of a better way to celebrate the end of the challenge. The longest stint without a break was 19 days, all up the west coast, northwest, doing a bunch around there. So that was pretty hectic.
One of Tasmania's most iconic landmarks, the perfect location to finish.
It's a special mountain, I think, for all Hobartians and all Tasmanians, and I wanted for everyone to come up and be able to join me on the final hike if they wanted to, and that's why I chose Kanani.
The community braving the cold snap and bitter conditions to cheer him home.
They've all been my support crew, you know, the thousands of people that have been following and pushing me on.
Raising more than $50,000 for the state's Cancer Council.
I've been at the top of a mountain just yelling at myself to get onto the next one, because sometimes that's just all you need to keep going.
All culminating in a 30th birthday celebration he'll never forget.
Let's go!
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
In an Australian first, Tasmania will be digitally mapped from above. The move is designed to help the response to natural disasters and build new infrastructure more efficiently. An aircraft laser will scan over our island over the next 10 years to create the 4D model. Virtual Tas is behind the project and says it's about building a better Tasmania, saving lives and working smarter. A much-loved sports mascot has visited a Northwest high school to participate in their Big Freeze event. Students and staff embraced the yearly event, raising awareness for motor neuron disease.
Braving the cold for a good cause. Jack the Jumper sliding down to the ice pool as part of Burnie High School's Fight M&D charity event.
It's all part of the work that we do in schools, and you know, today just coincides with a fantastic opportunity.
The school's Year 10 leaders helped organise today's ice slide. They're happy the Jack Jumpers have come on board to raise awareness for motor neuron disease, which targets the brain and nerves.
I think it's a great initiative by them. They've taken the league by storm this year, first year, so I think it's great that we could get them along.
It's really exciting. It's been great to have them on board with it. They came knowing that would hopefully hit our $2,500 limit.
Grade 8 students are also being treated to clinics by the Jack Jumpers, showing off and developing their basketball skills. Assistant coach and Burnie local Mark Radford, happy his hometown has rallied around the team.
I've certainly noticed that since I've been back here in the Northwest, and the excitement's around the program. Let's hope we can continue that.
Donations to Burnie High School's fundraiser can be made on the Fight M&D website. Mark Zita, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, Tasmanians who lend a helping hand will continue to receive support of their own, with $440,000 allocated in the state budget to Volunteering Tasmania.
We're committed to working with Volunteering Tasmania and with local organisations to make sure that we build those volunteer levels back up to where they need to be, whilst recognising that nearly 2/3 of all Tasmanians volunteer.
Volunteering actually contributes over $4 billion a year to our social, cultural and economic wellbeing in Tasmania.
The organisation represents more than 50,000 volunteers assisting the Tasmanian community.
Tasmania's Commonwealth Games cricketer Nicola Carey has been snapped up to play in the UK's The 100. She was one of 5 Tasmanian listed players taken in the league's wildcard draw. Heather Graham, Molly Strano and Elise Villani will also play, along with Ben McDermott. The tournament begins in August. Well, the Queen won't be the only one celebrating this long weekend, as Tasmanians turn their attention to 5 soccer finals taking place across the state.
If the weather's okay, it'd be great to see a couple of thousand here. We've had that in the past.
South Hobart is hoping to bring home several titles, including NPL Development League and champions of the Men's Under-20 Statewide Cup. They'll also be battling it out in the Lacko Seljack Cup final against the Devonport Strikers, the winner heading through to the FFA Cup.
We exploit little areas that they leave when they start to attack and get in behind them and score the goals necessary.
And the Kingborough Lions will be fighting to defeat Launceston United in the Women's Statewide Cup final after falling short to the team in recent years.
We were knocked out of the Cup last year by Launceston in the 90th minute in the semis, so I think there's no question we can take the game up to them.
They'll also be playing in the WSL Development League final later that same day. And after Minjee Lee's win in the US Open, tonight's Friday Flashback is to Tasmania's undisputed Queen of Golf, Lindy Goggin. A 19-time Tasmanian champion who collected countless trophies overseas, Goggin won it all without ever turning pro. In a golden era for Tasmanian golf, Lindy Goggin was head and shoulders above them all. In the mid-70s, she was at the peak of her powers.
Do you find yourself that you could possibly have any trouble at all with the wood rising course?
No, it's fairly heavy, but it's not bad.
Over a quarter of a century, she'd win 3 national titles, 19 Tasmanian, and the first ever Australian Ladies PGA Championship in 1976.
Women's golf was so strong in those days.
At one stage, she was the lowest handicapped female golfer in the world. Her most cherished prize was the 1978 World Championship for Australia.
The first time they'd ever done it was in Fiji, and it was Jane Locke, Edwina Kennedy and myself, and all my family travelled.
Family is central to Goggin's life. Her son Matthew became a hugely successful golfer in his own right, and Lindy's commitment to her children changed the course of her career.
I travelled overseas. I could have travelled over 10 times more than what I did because I actually had 3 children in the middle of that and got married, and so that was more my priority.
2 young children, it's a bit of a handicap for you, isn't it?
Yes, it takes a bit more time, but, you know, I'm managing.
She still loves the game and watched Minjee Lee with glee as she claimed the US Open this week. Despite Goggin's success, she never turned professional, and that's largely due to the era.
People always ask me, why didn't you turn pro? Well, it wasn't a priority as far as I was concerned, because in those days you went to America and you never came back, you know, and basically, as I said, you know, things have changed so much and I wouldn't have hesitated this day and age to turn professional.
Professional or not, her legacy is one set in stone. A true champion indeed, Kim.
You are right there. Thank you very much, Tom.
Good evening. Hobart, a top of 9 degrees today. Launceston reached 13, Burnie 11 and Devonport 12. Temperatures well below average over the west, central and south. Lyowini a high of 1, Grove 7 and Bushy Park 8. Most of the rest of the state in low teens. And I'm sure we all felt this cold air field over us today, bringing showers to those exposed to the southwesterly breezes. Now this pattern also affected the southeast of the mainland, while low-level cloud wraps around a low west of Perth. Tomorrow a cold front moves to our south, and with the high to the west we continue to have those stiff southwesterly winds over us, and even more so than today. Those winds will increase to 35 to 45 knots over the east and south and up to 50 knots offshore in the east, 8-metre swells in southern waters. The tip is to check the Bureau's website for warnings, as there are many, the most important being the storm force wind warning from Wineglass Bay to southeast Cape, a severe weather warning for damaging winds for quite a bit of the map, a gale warning exists for basically all other waters as well. A minor flood warning for the Huon, a warning to sheep graziers that there will be risks of losses to exposed animals, a road weather alert for ice and snow, and a bushwalkers alert for the Western and Central Plateau to throw in as well. So windy and showery around the state tomorrow, 11 for Hobart, Medina 7, just 7 for Oaklands as well. Launceston looking for a high of 13, a shower or 2, windy for Devonport, -4 to a top of 3 for Lyowini. 12 the high for Burnie, Strawn and Marrawar, all with showers and wind. 13 for St Helens and cloudy, a shower or 2 and windy for Swansea. Orford a top of 11. Here's Sunday. We'll have showers easing, but temperatures still cold. A frosty start to Monday, a shower for the west, and on Tuesday, well, that's just a bit too far away with all that's coming up. Showers tomorrow for Perth, Adelaide and Melbourne. Sunny weather further north, 18 in Brisbane. Showery conditions and cold conditions too right now in Hobart. It's currently 5 degrees, only 5 in Launceston as well. Cool in Devonport and currently 6 degrees. Good idea would be to keep an eye on the Weather Bureau's website over the weekend, with the weather changing rapidly. That very cold blast from the south-southwest hitting the state over the next couple of days. Lots of recreational activities will be hampered by the weather, Kim, including Dark Mofo, and of course the Bay of Fires Festival is going to be starting up very shortly as well. So lots of things happening. Hold on, I've just been asked to stretch as well a bit longer, so how about that?
No idea what you're up to there, Murph. I got it now. Indeed, plenty of warnings to watch out for. Thanks very much. That does wrap up tonight's bulletin. Have a great weekend and stay safe. For now, on behalf of the entire team, it's good night.